It's 10 o'clock. This is Sky News at 10, our top story. The Conservatives accuse the government of being in disarray after the Chancellor U-turns on plans to raise income tax.
I have never seen this level of chaos, this level of irresponsibility.
A nursery worker who abused children as young as 3 is detained for 10 years. A serial rapist described as one of the most prolific sex offenders of all time is jailed. Sky News exposes the people smuggling gangs taking migrants across the Channel as the Home Secretary promises tough action.
Police are here just observing what's going on. But, I mean, look at the life. It's quite clear what's going on.
Plus, a man's jailed for stealing an artwork by Banksy to pay off a drug debt. And we'll take a first look at tomorrow's front pages in our press preview from 10:30 right through to midnight. Good evening. The Conservatives have accused the government of being in chaos after the Chancellor ditched her much-trailed plan to raise income tax in the budget. Treasury sources say the UK's economic forecast is better than expected, and Rachel Reeves no longer has to break Labour's manifesto pledge on taxation. But the U-turn has rattled the markets, with the cost of government borrowing rising. Our political correspondent Rob Powell reports.
For weeks now, the scene being set for an income tax rise.
In the months ahead, we will face further tests. We will all have to contribute to that effort. Each of us must do our bit.
I won't duck those challenges. Of course, we're looking at tax and spending as well.
Then, just days ago, the clearest sign yet that big Labour promises were about to be broken.
It would, of course, be possible to stick with the manifesto commitments, but that would require things like deep cuts in capital spending.
Now, different noises coming from here. Treasury sources saying a rise in the headline rate of income tax will not be in the budget. Thresholds will be looked at instead, along with hikes to smaller taxes.
Good morning, everyone.
Fresh from a briefing battle with Number 10, the Health Secretary appearing to approve.
It is really important that we keep our promises and that we stand by our manifesto. We came into government with a broken economy, broken public services, but also broken trust in politics. The fact there's been speculation about income tax rises, I think, shows two things. Firstly, how challenging the situation is in the public finances, and secondly, how determined the Chancellor is to stick to her fiscal rules.
The Tory leader once again seizing on the uncertainty.
It's very clear that they're in a mess. They've been talking about tax rises on income tax for ages now, weeks and weeks throughout the summer. Now they're saying no. It's good if they're not going to increase income taxes, but the truth is they shouldn't be increasing any taxes at all. But I've never seen a government do this in the run-up to a budget. I have never seen this level of chaos, this level of irresponsibility.
Budgets are where politics and economics meet. Decisions taken by the Chancellor in Number 11 having a big impact next door.
Sources here say a reason for this change is better than expected numbers coming from the official forecaster, meaning that Rachel Reeves has a smaller black hole to fill in the budget. But be in no doubt, a big driver of this is politics. The fear of being the first government to put up income tax in 50 years, the fear of blowing up a central part of last year's manifesto, and after a disastrous autumn of political missteps, the fear that Labour backbenchers simply wouldn't swallow such a bitter pill.
But the U-turn had an immediate market impact as UK borrowing costs jumped amid the uncertainty. Economists warning of the dangers of changing tack.
The amount you're going to bring in is harder to predict. There's a risk of upsetting lots of smaller interest groups, maybe increasing the risk of U-turns and reversals down the line. And for all those reasons, bond market investors don't view it as credible or deliverable a package.
We're used to budget speculation, but is this normal?
But I think this year is something different. Increasing uncertainty is leading people to change their behaviour in advance, maybe putting off that house sale or putting off that business investment decision in response. And I don't think it's good for economic growth.
For the Chancellor and Prime Minister, this budget will map out their political futures. But after weeks of errors and mishaps, this latest course correction may only add to the political danger the government finds itself in. Rob Powell, Sky News in Westminster.
Let's go live to Downing Street now and our political correspondent there, Tamara Cohen. Tamara, is this a bit of economic luck for the Chancellor, or is it more that the government's worried about a tax backlash?
Well, if there was any of the former, there was definitely some of the latter. Labour MPs have had an extraordinary week. This story emerged that people in Downing Street thought the Health Secretary, Wes Streeting, was planning to overthrow the Prime Minister. That was denied. There's certainly a sense around Keir Starmer that he is extraordinarily, for someone with a huge majority, in some political danger, and therefore the prospect of raising income tax, which would be for the first time in 50 years to raise the headline rate in income tax, looked perhaps to be a step too far, even though the Chancellor seemed to be very much paving the way for it at her press conference in Downing Street, talking about the tough times and everyone having to contribute. So Treasury sources now telling us that has been ruled out, and some Labour MPs are pretty relieved about that because, of course, they came into office promising in their manifesto not to raise the three key taxes: income tax, national insurance and VAT, and they don't want to be out on the doorsteps with people saying to them, why did you break your promise? You've had high-profile figures like the new deputy leader of the Labour Party, Lucy Powell, saying this week we shouldn't be breaking our promises. So where does that leave Rachel Reeves in her budget? Well, there's still 2 weeks to go, but she is likely now, she says Treasury sources tell us tough decisions are still coming, to raise other taxes. The freeze on income tax thresholds, which drags more people into those higher bands, is likely to continue. There's suggestions there may be taxes on gambling, on pension pots, and even on electric cars. They'll try and recoup it with lots of taxes in individual areas. The risk in doing that is you upset lots of different groups of people.
Indeed. Tamara, thank you. A nursery worker who raped and sexually abused children as young as 3 has been sentenced to 10 years in a young offender institution. Thomas Waller, now 18, was arrested after a mother raised concerns. My correspondent Oliver Whitfield-Mirchich is here to talk us through this story. Very, very disturbing story, it has to be said. What did we learn about the character of the offender?
So Thomas Waller was described as somebody that was incredibly manipulative, somebody that gained the trust of these 2 3-year-old boys by bonding with them over the popular cartoon series Paw Patrol. He was only 17, recently qualified as a nursery worker, and his role in the nursery was to get the boys changed and also to take them to the toilet. And we heard how he'd been found alone in the toilet with one of the boys who he had raped, a boy who would go on to tell his parents that Waller was his new best friend. When he was arrested, the police then found indecent images on his phone of a second boy who was also at the same nursery. But when he was questioned by the authorities, Waller had no answers to give to the investigating officers.
A download of your phone of this exhibit PE02 has been completed since your last interview. What do you think we found on that phone, Thomas?
No comment.
From the download of this phone, PE02, 5 indecent images of a child have been found. Okay. What can you tell me about this?
No comment.
Were you aware of any indecent images being on your phone, Thomas?
No comment.
Why were they on your phone?
No comment.
And Surrey police say that lack of answers continued as a theme all the way through the court cases as well.
Thomas Waller had multiple opportunities to show remorse or account for his actions, both throughout the police investigation and at court. He has chosen to remain silent. I hope the fact that he's been brought to justice for the crimes that he has committed help the families affected by his crimes to start to move forward with their lives.
Gillian, as is to be expected, those families have been severely affected by what has happened here. One of the parents of one of the boys says that they should be talking about what vegetables they do and don't like instead of saying that their child had been raped. The judge in this case saying that it is heartbreaking to see that the parents have blamed themselves and say that they're responsible for what has happened. Now, ultimately, Waller has been sentenced to 15 years. 10 of those will be sentenced and served in a young offenders institute. The other 5 will be on licence.
OK, Oliver, thank you. The Chinese national, who police say could be one of the most prolific sex offenders of all time, has been jailed for at least 14 years. Xiao Zhu is believed to have lived in the UK since 2013 and was today found guilty of a range of offences, including rape, sexual assault and upskirting. Amelia Harper reports.
3 minutes to 3, you're now under arrest.
This was the moment that a 4-year-long campaign of rape and sexual assaults by this man came to an end. Xiao Zhu, a Chinese national from southeast London, arrested at his home. A sexual predator, the 33-year-old pleaded guilty to 24 offences. His victims, 6 women who were drugged and filmed without their consent. He now faces a life sentence with a minimum of 14 years behind bars, now believed to be one of the worst sexual offenders of all time.
Xiao Zhu was a prolific and predatory sexual offender who committed some of the most cowardly and abhorrent crimes imaginable. His actions have caused deep and lasting harm, but thanks to the extraordinary bravery of the victims and the relentless work of my team, he will no longer be free to hurt others.
Zhu would supply this drink. He called it the Spring of Life, a mixture of alcohols and Chinese herbal medicines. This concoction, along with the date rape drug GHB, were used to stupefy his guests. He took thousands of pictures and videos of his assaults on hidden cameras. And this is him setting these cameras up, found after a victim told police she was drugged and raped after a networking event at his home in June. After she reported her assault, police found this air freshener. Inside it, a tiny camera. The lengths he went to were shocking. Even these speakers held another hidden device. He offended in public. His victims likely have no idea. Within the tranche of material on his devices, police also found thousands of upskirting images at a workplace and at London Bridge Underground station. Sentencing, the judge told Zhu, your behaviour was calculated and planned, evidenced by the covert recording systems you had set up in your flats and the fact you had incapacitated a number of your victims by drugging them. You betrayed the trust of a number of women who you befriended in the most appalling ways imaginable. And this isn't the end. Police are appealing for witnesses and possible victims to come forward, fearful he may have hundreds more victims.
If you believe you may have been a victim of Xiao Zhu, or if you have any information that could assist our investigation, please come forward. You will be listened to, you will be believed, and you will be supported.
Xiao Zhu might have been stopped, but investigations into his crimes are gathering speed. Amelia Harper, Sky News.
The Home Secretary is to announce major changes to tackle illegal immigration. Shabana Mahmood is expected to set out plans on Monday, which she says will deter migrants from coming to the UK and make it easier to deport those who do. It's understood the Home Office is looking to use Denmark as a model, with rules there considered some of the toughest in Europe. Well, in Denmark, most asylum or refugee status is temporary. Residency can be revoked once a country they have come from is deemed safe. In order to achieve settlement, asylum seekers are required to be in full-time employment, and the length of time it takes to acquire those rights has been extended. Denmark also has tougher rules on family reunification. Both the sponsor and their partner are required to be at least 24 years old, which the Danish government says is designed to prevent forced marriages. The sponsor must also not have claimed welfare for 3 years and must provide a financial guarantee for their partner. Both must also pass a Danish language test. Well, as the Home Secretary prepares to announce new measures, our Home editor, Jason Farrell, has been tracking down some of the cross-channel smuggling gangs. Here's his report.
In Dunkirk, we've been tipped off. A group is on the move. This, the final leg of their land route. The last bus stop to Britain.
Police are here just observing what's going on. But, I mean, look at the life. It's quite clear what's going on. Would you like to go to England?
Yes. Yes.
How old are you?
I have 16 years.
16 years old?
Yes.
Ali was 16 when he was smuggled into the UK 20 years ago, before becoming a smuggler himself, based in London.
How much does it cost these days?
Now for a boat,
Yeah.
from France to here,
Yeah.
2,000 or 3,000 pounds each.
We're not identifying Ali.
He often lived among the migrant camps in France, referred to as the jungle, helping others get across.
All the time hiding in the jungle are the workers, but the boss, nobody will find him. He's somebody in Germany, Holland, Belgium. The boss, he buy the boat and they send the people the boats. The middle people, they get everyone ready.
Ali's given us a contact on this tented camp called Tedicum near Dunkirk, who alerted us to the group. We're now tagging along, uninvited. Where's everybody going? You don't know? Don't know where you're going. I see you've got some life jackets. Okay. It seems many of the life vests are purchased here in Dunkirk's sports superstore, Decathlon, €30 each. We witnessed migrants trying them for size, and a steady flow of new stock arriving in store. Decathlon told us it's in regular contact with authorities. As we board the bus to no one knows where, police stop two individuals.
It's pretty obvious that people here have one thing in mind, which is to get to the coast, to get on the boat.
Hidden amongst this group are the middlemen Ali talked about. Take note of this man in the cap. We'll see him again. Ali says each nationality has its own fixer, but they often pool the boats.
He's Albanian, they are Kurdish, they are Afghan, they are Eritrean, from everywhere. China, Vietnam, everyone has their group.
As night falls, more groups arrive, families, and again the man in the cap shepherding them along. Police officers patrol, the migrants edge closer. Then in the darkness they dash to the water, and what's to stop them? The beam of a headlight, a police jeep circling like an ineffective sheepdog. At times, the officers get out with their flashlights, but to do what? On they go.
Well, that's it now. The police have chased them as far as the shoreline. Once they're in the sea, the police stop, and they are now they're just on the edge of the waves there, waiting for a boat to come and pick them up.
But as dawn breaks, their boat, which has been partially loaded further up the coast, has got into trouble.
Why did you not go? No boat, not here? Oh, there's a problem with that. Oh, it's punctured.
Yeah, but...
punctured.
This tiny pump can't have been much use.
It's clearly got a lot of give in this.
This aborted trip will delay the release of tens of thousands of pounds to the smugglers. Ali says the money is often held in trust by mutually respected people or businesses in the UK who help manage transactions.
An example, I have some restaurant or some money changes and some people I trust, and I tell them go put the money there, and the guy, he will call me. They say they have got the people money here, and he gives me the okay.
Are there kind of people smuggling bosses in the UK?
Everywhere. One here in London, one is from Turkey, one from Belgium, one from Holland.
We witnessed two successful launches.
You can see that boat is completely overloaded and there's still other people running out.
This boat helped push the number of arrivals this year above the total number of last year, but many missed out, including this young family from Sudan. They have fled a troubled country.
Do you worry about how dangerous it is?
Sudan is more dangerous.
Sudan's more dangerous than the Channel.
But this sea can be hostile too. Hours later, a storm struck. There have been 100 drowned in 2 years. But in that time, tens of thousands have made it. They're willing to take those odds. Jason Farrell, Sky News.
Donald Trump says he's asked his Attorney General, Pam Bondi, and the FBI to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's relationship with a number of high-profile Democrats and various institutions. It comes after House Democrats leaked a number of emails from the convicted paedophile, which they claim incriminate the US president. Mr. Trump has described those claims as a scam. Let's go live now to Washington and our US correspondent, James Matthews. And James, Donald Trump keen to push this story back at the Democrats tonight.
He is, Gillian. Yeah, on Truth Social earlier today, he was again dismissing the Epstein allegations as a Democrat hoax. But when it comes to Democrats, he clearly thinks it's a hoax worth investigating. The wheels are turning on this investigation. Attorney General Pam Bondi, she's assigned a prosecutor. The Department of Justice, she says, will pursue this with urgency and integrity. It's a move that puts Democrats in the frame, and there are a few of them, at a time when the Epstein allegations are focused on the president himself. He denies, of course, all knowledge or involvement in Epstein's criminal behaviour. But the White House is concerned. This is all heading to Congress next week. The House of Representatives will vote on a full release of the Epstein files. There are a couple of hurdles after that, but Trump is making efforts to thwart it. This week, we saw Republican Congresswomen being urged by his officials to take their name off a petition which is calling for full release. One of them was invited to a meeting in the White House Situation Room. There was a separate Truth Social post from the president today, Gillian, in which he wrote of some weak Republicans falling into Democrat clutches, as he would have it. That's a clear attempt to lean on members of his own party ahead of this vote next week. With regard to those Democrats named by Trump in his Truth Social post, there are denials across the board from them. Bill Clinton, former president, he's long denied knowledge of involvement in Epstein's criminal behaviour. Larry Summers, he used to be Clinton's Treasury Secretary. He's called his Epstein association a major error of judgment. Reid Hoffman, co-founder of LinkedIn, he says he's deeply regretful for repairing Epstein's reputation and perpetuating injustice. And the bank JP Morgan and Chase, they are named in this Truth Social post. They're saying that the firm deeply regrets any association with this man, a reference to Jeffrey Epstein.
James, thank you. A former vet has admitted drugging and sexually assaulting 2 boys at a summer camp in Leicestershire. 76-year-old John Rubin laced sweets with tranquilizing drugs and attacked 2 children after asking youngsters to play a game. He was remanded in custody until a further hearing later this month. The Health Secretary has accused resident doctors of holding NHS patients to ransom at the start of a 5-day strike. Members of the BMA are seeking a 26% pay rise, saying they're still not paid enough and there are too few training places and jobs. A man has been charged with wearing a military uniform without permission following a Remembrance Sunday event in North Wales. Jonathan Carley, who's 64 and from Harlech, is due to appear before magistrates next month. There are 2 severe flood warnings in place tonight for the River Monnow at Osbaston and Skenfrith after Storm Claudia brought persistent rain and strong winds across much of England and Wales. The Met Office has warned some areas could see up to 150 millimetres of rain falling in just a few hours, causing localised flooding. A man who admitted stealing a Banksy artwork worth hundreds of thousands of pounds has been sentenced to 13 months in prison. CCTV captured the moment Larry Fraser broke into the London Gallery and stole the Girl with Balloon print last September to pay off a drug debt. A woman with a brain tumour that's left her with just weeks to live says she's frustrated she doesn't have the option of an assisted death. The assisted dying bill was debated in Parliament today at the beginning of its committee stage in the House of Lords. Sky's Greg Milam has been speaking to Ed, who was diagnosed with an aggressive tumour and wishes she had more control over her death.
I've enjoyed a very independent, active life.
4 weeks before we spoke to Ed, she'd been driving her camper van and volunteering. Then came the diagnosis of an aggressive, inoperable brain tumour and just weeks to live.
I'd say my life as I've known it is very definitely over. It's definitely gone. Looking to my life for however long it is now, which I'm told isn't likely to be very long, it's not my life. It's not. I'm not going to be in control of it. This malignant growth in my brain is going to choose for me.
She supports the assisted dying bill making its way through Parliament. It'll come too late for her, but not for others.
I feel I should have a choice. I feel that it should be me who says, well, I think I'll get off this bus now. I've reached where I want to go to, and I'm quite happy. I've had a good life.
There are opponents to this law who will say that, there are people who are vulnerable, who maybe won't have that choice, that other people will make that choice for them. When you hear the opposition to the law, what do you say?
I don't want other people to restrict my choice, and I accept that there are vulnerable people, but the people who are looking after them are the ones that will have to be honest and make the choices, as they already will do for vulnerable people. I think it should be made easier for the people and the families. That's my wish for other people in the future, that it would be an organised, dignified way. I mean, dying shouldn't be a horrific thing. I think most of us aren't afraid of death. We're afraid of what we have to go through before death. I think you should be able to make a decision and say, right, let's make a plan, and we're going to have a kitchen disco next Friday, and we should be doing that, and then say goodbye, and that'll be fine. It would.
Greg Milam, Sky News.
The King has celebrated his 77th birthday today. The occasion was marked with a special commemorative firing of the cannons at Tower Wharf in central London, as the King received a 62-gun salute from the Army's oldest regiment, the Honourable Artillery Company. He also received a 41-gun salute from the King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery in Green Park. A new photograph of King Charles at his Sandringham estate in Norfolk was released by Buckingham Palace to mark the occasion. And after being serenaded at a celebratory reception in Merthyr Tydfil, His Majesty was seen cutting into his Windsor Castle-shaped birthday cake. Happy birthday, Your Majesty. Well, that was Sky News at 10. Coming up, we'll take a first look at tomorrow's newspapers in the press preview. Tonight, we're joined by the Deputy Editor of Conservative Home, Henry Hill, and Daily Mirror columnist Susie Boniface. Amongst the stories we'll be discussing, this on the front of The Guardian about tonight's top story here on Sky News. Its headline, workers face £7.5 billion rise in tax despite Reeves' U-turn. Stay with us to find out more.